Well, welcome, folks. Let's talk a little bit about building some culture in building or creating a successful work culture. Even that, I don't even know the title of my own slide. So here's me. I'm Thaddeus Tondu. I work with On Purpose Media. We are a digital marketing company. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to pitch you guys on digital marketing. I'm going to talk about culture because guess what? I'm a business owner too. We have 15 team members inside of our office, inside of our organization. The principles of culture, they transcend organizations. Whether you're in heating and cooling, plumbing, electrical, construction, it doesn't matter. Culture is the same. People crave it. People want it. So if you have a tough time seeing these on, if you're in the back, I was able to read it all, and I don't have my glasses on. It was a little blurry. But if you want, you can steal my slides as well. Pull those up on your phone or your computer. So if anybody needs me to go back to it, I will. Going once, going twice. All right. Oh, one more guy. Perfect. So what do you think culture is? Out of these two, we have yoga and dogs or wooden desks. How many people think culture is yoga and dogs? How many think culture is the other one, wooden desks? Come on, not everybody put their hands up. How many think it's both? Oh yeah, there we go. All right, I will come back to that answer a little bit later. On what I believe it actually is. Couple seats right here, guys. There's one right in the middle. You might have to split up a little bit, or you can move some chairs around. That's totally cool. So why is a digital marketing guy here to talk about culture? Well, let me explain. I'll actually let my team do it. So I actually asked all of our team members why they love working on Purpose Media. I'll read these off to you. I love the trust the management has given to me and the whole team. Everyone at OPM is supportive in helping me achieve my goals, both personal and professional. Because it encourages you to have a balance between work and life outside of it. I love OPM because it's a company that truly cares. OPM truly takes care of their staff's well-being first so that we can be better, so we can better help out clients and team. Sometimes grammar isn't their strong suit. I copy and pasted. It's hard to create a culture in a virtual world, but I would argue that we have one of the best cultures I have seen. Going to work is fun. I love working at OPM because the culture is lively and helpful, and there are so many great chances to learn and grow every single day. Being around smart, supportive co-workers helps keep me excited and driven, and it's helped me get to where I am now. The core values, spoiler alert, have taught me the importance of self-accountability in all areas of my life. The opportunity to grow individually and as a biz, the opportunity given to pursue internal growth and development. I love how much we talk about how we can better yourself and push people to be their best and truly mean it. There's a lot of them. The company's well-structured approach not only focuses on client growth, but prioritizes personal development, creating a space where everyone thrives together. True love for OPM isn't about agreeing on every decision. It's about knowing your voice is valued, and that together we can build something better. I love OPM because working here has made me a better person in my professional life, personal growth, and my family life, which has truly been a humbling experience. The people. One collective group, that's a spoiler alert too, one collective group pulling for each other, taking care of our clients, and helping to reach our goals in and out of the business. I love working at OPM because it's more than just a job. It's a place where I can maximize my potential while having fun and help businesses reach their goals. I love OPM because it helped me become the man I've always dreamed of being. When I read this one, guys, I literally started crying. Like, how many of you can say that your business has this great of an impact on your team? Anyone? A couple hands, right? And if it's not, that's okay. I want to help get everybody to this part because this can change the lives of your team. That's what culture and people can do. If you actually care about them and you actually put the culture in place, that's what's going to win for you guys. It's not selling more air conditioners. It's not selling hot water tanks. It's not putting in new electrical panels, not building new kitchens. It's your people. And this is why I'm here to talk to you, because our people love our culture. Okay? So here's an action item for you guys. Okay? Ask your team to send you why they love working here. If you guys are on Slack, do it now. Hey, send me a personal message with why you love working here. I'm not seeing you do that. I'm giving Brittany a hard time. Brittany's with Relentless Digital. We say we're competitor, and they also have service business mastery, competitors in the space, but also friends outside of it. And so that's the other part. We're here to help each other succeed, even on the digital marketing side and on the podcast side. Okay, so that's a key action item. So diving into the 3 Ps. How many people have heard of the 3 Ps before? We have people, product, and price. Has anybody heard of this? 3 Ps? Familiar? A couple of people? Evan has, because he hears me talk about it ad nauseum. Okay. So Evan, by the way, he's my co-host on the HVAC Success Secrets podcast, as well as in the business on purpose media. So here's the thing, is a lot of companies get this wrong. They focus on price first. Sorry, the new flat rate. It's part of the equation, okay? People focus on the price first in their business, and then they focus on the product second, and then they focus on the people third. Here's the thing. When you look at this product, guess what? Air conditioners, more or less all the same. Some can argue different brands are better than others. Okay, great. Air conditioners, same. Furnaces, same. Hot water tanks, same. Electrical panels, same thing. So there's really no product differentiation in what you guys do. Hey, for us, on the marketing side, sure, maybe a little bit more product differentiation, but it's websites, it's SEO, it's Google Ads. Okay. Product's more or less the same. So now you bake down onto price. This is where a new flat rate comes in, helps you guys get your margins, be able to afford to do the things you want to do in your life, and then take care of your people. Yeah, but here's the miraculous part. If you actually focus on people first, guess what happens to your product? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. They don't care. It's air conditioning, but your people care. Okay? Then what happens to your price? You can actually charge more. Because your people are bought into you. People are bought into your business. They're able to help you with where you want to go in your business, and then it helps them, and it helps the customer. It's full circle when you take care of your people first. That's really what it's all about. So how do you bring this, and I'm not going to, by the way, I'm not going to talk ad nauseum about all the perks that go in here, 401k, health benefits, health, dental, all those things. Those are just perks, by the way. Those are perks. I'm here to talk about how do you actually care about your people, and how do you get them bought into you and the business and where you want to go. I heard a quote the other day that a CEO's job or an owner's job of a business is to make the decision on where you want your company to go, and then helping the people guide you there. You already know where you want to go. Your people are there to help you get there. Okay? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Peter Drucker, famous quote. I'm sure everybody's heard it. It really does. That really solidifies the 3 Ps when you think about that. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. If everybody's selling the same equipment, if everybody's charging the same price, how do you stand out in the market? Again, your people, branding, obviously another one, not here to talk about branding, but your people are going to help you stand out. Okay? So at its core, a good culture is like a cult. It really is, when you think about that. Think about some of the organizations that come to mind in your head that have some of the greatest cultures that you've heard of. They rave about it like a cult. I mean, heck, I bet you your people rave about it like a cult. You just saw all my people, our people are raving about it like a cult. Okay? It's also provocative, too. So, I asked this question earlier, yoga and dogs or wooden desks? True answer is wooden desks. Is anybody familiar with the Amazon story of why they have wooden desks, by the way? So this was employee 5. Jeff Bezos was, okay, well, we actually need to have employees now. And he was looking at all the desks out on the market. He's like, man, they're expensive. Why don't I just go across the street? Their office was right across from Home Depot. He went across to the Home Depot and he was looking at parts and material. Well, what did he find? He found a wooden door. He found L brackets and 4x4s. Boom, he made his desk. It's actually synonymous with the culture. And they still use wooden desks to this day, by the way, in certain instances in their organization. But why is it part of the culture? Amazon isn't about just giving you the lowest prices on goods and as fast as it possibly can. That's part of it. Amazon is all about passing the savings that they can find onto the consumer. So if they could reduce their expenses in their office by having wooden desks, so they have their computers on, you got to prop up sides with cardboard in order to be able to type because it's rickety and rackety, you're sliding 2 wooden desks together with a door on the top. Now people are bought into that. How much easier is it for a customer service rep to say, hey, we're all about doing what's right by you, saving money, and passing that along to you, the customer, when they're working on a wooden desk? You see how that comes into culture? Dogs and yoga is a perk. It's a perk. I mean, shit, I'm 100% remote. Hopefully I can swear in these breakouts, Danielle, so probably will let the odd one slip. See, the thing is, I'm in a remote world. All of my team members all work from home. I can't have yoga and dogs. I mean, I could send people to yoga, and of course their dogs and their cats are going to be at home. That's a perk. It also depends on the organization too. Some organizations, like Facebook, for example, their motto, I believe until about 2014, move fast, break things. Move fast, break things. That was part of their core. That was part of their culture. They wanted people to break their product because that's how they innovated. You go to somebody like Jack Dorsey, and he had Square. Well, it's all about the high-end stuff, right? They're not going to be having wooden desks in there because they're about the finished, polished product. So you have to identify what yours are, okay? The last part is you also want to make it fun. By the way, we'll walk through how to actually identify what these are, okay? You want to make working there fun. If people dread going to work, do you think that your culture matters? Think your culture is good? No. Have you guys ever wondered why some people attract top talent and they actually pay them lower than others in the marketplace? It's because of culture. It's because they like working there, because it's fun. Now, I'm all for, by the way, paying competitive wages. In fact, I tell our team in the interview process, by the way, we do not pay the highest wages possible. We just don't. We pay competitive wages based off of your experience and your role and where you live. They go, oh, that makes sense. But we also have a great culture to back it up, so I can do those things. Okay? So, how do you do all of this? Well, it comes back to core values and your vivid vision. Some people call it a mission statement. I'm a big believer in going down the core values and a vivid vision because it paints a picture of where you want to go. Okay? Core values, they're basically ethics and principles that guide your decisions and actions inside your business. That's literally a definition from the internet. I didn't make it up. I would add one thing on this: your business and personal life. All right, show of hands, core values. How many people have them? Everybody's hand if you have them. Okay, a few people don't. That's okay, by the way. Okay, keep your hands up if you know them. Can anybody recite their core values off the top of their head, not including Brittany? Anyone? Safety, efficiency, professionalism. How about you down there, back? Just put them down. Perfect. Love them. Love them. See, that's the part of this. When you know them, the third part, and I hit the arrow too soon, is does everybody in your organization know them? Right? Those that had the three of you that had your hand up, if you were to phone any single person on your team, maybe not you because you guys just nailed them down again, right? By the way, good yearly exercise to go back and review your core values and make sure that they are still your core values today, because they can change. Okay? If you were to phone anybody in your team right now, would they be able to recite your core values? 60% of them, right? I bet you mine would probably be like 80%, by the way. We're not 100. So, and what about probably same? Not everyone, right? So again, there's room for improvement here, right? But this is the part of the core values that matter, right? This is why I said your business and personally. And I'll get there. How often do you repeat them? Those that have the core values, how often are you guys repeating your core values? Is it something that you do as a yearly exercise with your leadership team and say, oh, great, there's our core values? Is that? Monthly? Okay. Anybody else? How often do you repeat yours?
So every single week.
Perfect. You know what's funny is I'm going to mention those exact same things. Love it. And again, repeating them often is the key in your core values. Those that have them, do you hire against your core values? I see a smirk back there. No? Yes? It's okay. You say no. What's that? I'm sure it happens, right? But being intentional. What's that? Sometimes you need somebody in a hurry, exactly. And I'll talk a little bit more about these. By the way, I'll kind of break down how to do this too, just so you're wondering. The last one is, do you fire against them? Do you fire against your core values? I know we do. I had to sadly terminate 4 people in the month of September. We hired 4 new people, but I fired 4 because of our core values. Like, that's tough. I mean, firing people is probably my least favorite thing to do in running a business. It sucks because I feel like I failed as a business owner because I didn't allow them to be able to support inside of our business. One thing, by the way, that I've changed in my reframing is I didn't fire them, they fired themselves. That was a big reframe. That's a kind of an off-the-record golden nugget right there. I didn't fire them, they fired themselves. All right, so let's talk. Oh, do you actually live them? That's the last part. Remember, business and personally. Do you live your core values at home in your personal life? All right, here's our core values as our organization. This is from a document that we have created. It's a long one. We actually run through these in our interview process. Okay? We run through these in our onboarding, and we repeat them quite often. So our first one is, and I'm not going to read the small font, guys. I'm not going to worry about that. If you have the slides, you can get those. You can read it on there. Do what's right, not what's easy is our first core value. Now, do what's right, not what's easy. I had a boss tell me once that at the end of the day, you only have your last name and your reputation, so you better protect both. That's lived with me. Because when you do what's right, not what's easy, now everything actually becomes easy. It's the tough decisions that make things easy. It's the right decisions that make things easy in the long run, right? It's not just honesty and transparency. By the way, anybody that has honesty and transparency, I'm gonna challenge you to remove that from your core value and think of a different way to phrase it. Everybody can put honesty and transparency, right? We used to have it, by the way. We had honesty and transparency. Those were our first 2 core values. I'm preaching to the choir here, right? Because I am one of the people who had that. That's why we have do what's right, not what's easy. Our second one is committed to excellence. We want to be legendary. Our third one is to be resourceful, AKA make shit happen. Especially in our industry, things are ever changing with technology. I mean, 1 year in digital marketing is like 7 in another business. It's crazy. Think about how many times Google changes their mind on something like that, and you're like, whoa, shit, I got to pivot my entire business. So we want our team to also be resourceful when it comes to that. Purpose-driven, when people are bigger, or a part of something that is bigger than themselves, that's when it matters. Because they actually have a purpose in life, not just going to work, right? They feel like they're part of something bigger. And the last one is unconventional thinking. For us, that's huge. It's one of our biggest ones because we want to have daydreaming in our business. We want people to come up with great ideas in our business. And we encourage everyone to come up with great ideas in our business. Google X Labs is famous for having, they actually have, when something gets terminated, so the special project division, and that's Google X Labs, they actually have a celebration party when a project gets terminated. Yeah, I know, it's counterintuitive, right? Why do they do that? Because they want ideas. If you get 100 ideas, 90% of them are probably, from your team, 90% of them are probably going to be shit. You're probably going to do 10 of them, and 1 to 2 of them are actually going to stick. So out of 100 ideas, you're going to get 1 to 2 of them that stick. If you only had 10 ideas, run the math backwards. Point 1 to point 2. You're never going to innovate as an organization. Okay? We also have this thing called being unicorns. It's our hungry, hustle, humble. It's something that we actually pivoted in our business. So it used to be about us and how we are hungry, hustle, and we're humble to do it. We've actually pivoted this towards our team. And so now we've got our core values, but this is our unicorn spirit. I know we're weird. That's why I saw Matt come in. When it is My Little Pony convention that he was thinking about going to instead of coming here. I still think that's hilarious, seeing a My Little Pony convention. So let's go to the core values. Okay. By the way, sorry, before I do this, does this make sense? Are you seeing now that when you have a clearly defined core values, now this matters. People feel like they're part of something when you have those core values. Okay. If you don't have your core values, or if you want to revisit them, take the time, sit down with your leadership team, and just review them. Yep.
Why did you say transparency and honesty isn't good values?
I didn't say they're not good values. So, yeah, great question. In my opinion, I think they're fluffy, throwaway, easy ones to put on a board. And so that's why I feel that if you just had honesty and integrity and transparency, everybody has those. If you want to be different, you want to attract different, you want to have a good culture, be different with your core values. So if I go back to ours, do what's right, not what's easy, that's honesty and transparency. It's just phrased different. Because now we have honesty in everything that we do. And then we also have transparency in all things we do because that's what's right, not what's easy. In fact, I don't have a lot of conversations with clients anymore. I had one a couple weeks ago with a client. I was getting raked over the coals. Deserved it. He's like, you guys haven't done anything for my Google local rankings. And I looked at his rankings. He's like, in a year, and I looked at his rankings. I'm like, you know what? We haven't. We fucked up. Literally my exact words to him. All of a sudden his demeanor changed. Right? His Google Map Pack rankings, by the way, they went up, and he's number 3 consistently behind like 2 of the major market players in his market. But the rest of his rankings didn't go anywhere. But I own that. He's like, okay, well, you just bought yourself 6 more months. Because we did what's right now. It's easy. It's honesty and transparent approach. Same thing, just said differently. Does that make more sense? Yep. And so, and again, it's looking at these and how can you think about them differently inside your organization. I know that there's a lot of people that have something similar to do what's right now, it's easy. I think of Amanda Triolo with Grasshopper, and it's trying to remember it. Do what's right, even when right is hard. Right, that's hers. Same thing, said differently. It's the honest and transparent approach. Okay. All right, how often do you repeat them? For us, it's a weekly kickoff meeting. We do the culture highlight like she was talking about. How many of you guys do a weekly whole like team office-wide huddle conversation? Okay. It would be good, or safety meeting, right? If you have a safety meeting, a weekly meeting where you have a set group of people that come into the office and having that culture highlight from somebody doing something within your core values. Because now that's a culture highlight. See, people want the recognition. They love when they get recognized, especially by the boss, especially by the owner. Ooh, that owner paid attention. Man, I must be doing something right. I'm going to keep doing that. The other people that didn't do that, here's what happens. Oh, that person, they got recognized. Well, maybe I should start living those core values, and maybe I'll do those things, and maybe I'll get recognized too. People love the pats on the back, right? They love the attaboys. But here's a caution though. One aw shit wipes out 1,000 attaboys. My dad told me that when I was 12. Remembered it to this day. Because that's a great saying. Praise in public, criticize in private. So never have somebody not living your core values, never have that conversation in a public setting with them, because it will just ruin and erode all that trust. Praise in public, criticize in private. Okay. We do it a lot on random conversations where we just talk randomly about the core values. I mean, I say accidentally on purpose because I'm intentional with it. If I know that there's a team member in our organization not quite living one of our core values, I have the conversation in and around the core value in a general sense. Okay. Actually, it just happened on Monday on one of our team kickoff calls. One of our team members wasn't living our core values. So instead of criticizing him publicly, I talked generically about one of our core values. Didn't actually do an individual culture highlight that day. We had a few people that we could have, but I talked about the general sense of that because it was directed directly at him without being directed directly at him. And now it comes back full circle to those core values. Now everybody sees that. Now everybody understands that. Now everybody hears that. And they're like, oh, was that directed at me? Everybody on the team probably thought that. But then they self-analyze and say, okay, well, how can I be better at this core value? Both personally and professionally. The average person needs to hear something 7 times before it registers. 7 times. You got to repeat this stuff a lot. You ever been in those conversations with your team and you tell them something and they go, oh, that's amazing. And you're like, I told you 5 times already. Right? Everybody's been there. I mean, heck, we're all like that too. Okay? So, need to repeat it. Okay? I'm sorry, does this make sense? Is there any questions on repeating them and repeating them often? Yep.
I used to do sort of subtle hints at people, and I would do these every day. I would do these motivational videos and motivational stories. And sometimes I would direct them at somebody, and whoever it was that I would direct them at would never get it. And I would have these other people come up to me. They thought I was writing about them.
Yep. Yeah, it's it's wild, right? And again, it's those subtleties, right? Because people just, they think it's about them, but it's actually not, right?
I never figured out how to be subtle and targeted.
Mm.
And maybe that's just because I'm too blunt.
I would say you're direct but kind. And direct but kind is, that's me too, right? I am direct, but I'm kind. And it's okay to be direct. It's got to be kind in doing it. But that subtlety of talking about somebody when you know that you're talking about somebody, but you don't want to actually talk about somebody, especially in the public setting, that's a learned skill. It comes with time. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. It just takes time. But again, if you're not holding a weekly call, or you're not talking about these things, you're not actually doing it, you're not actually putting that part of your day into practice, well, then it's become a lot difficult, right? So you have to start actually putting something like that in practice. It doesn't have to be your entire organization. You could do it by department as well if you have departmental weekly meetings. So, all right, let's talk a little about hiring against them. So it starts in the recruiting process. Okay, it really does. One of the things that we do, and again, we're remote and we're digital, although I think anybody can do this inside their organization. So before somebody even applies with us, I mean, with their job description, they actually have a little video that I mean, there's a bunch of arrows pointing to it. I can tell if somebody doesn't watch it because we gate the question at the very end, by the way. So I think it's like a 2.5 minute video. So it's not long, 2 to 3 minutes. That's all it is, talking about our core values. They watch it. At the end of the video, we ask them to remember a passphrase because later on in their application process, they actually have to put this passphrase in. And if they don't, I never see their resume because that means they didn't watch the video. That means they're not going into our culture. They're not actually committed to excellence and doing things the right way, right? So we can start this in the interview process depending on what your core values are. Ours, again, committed to excellence. I want you to watch that video. It's 2 to 3 minutes if you're serious about applying with our organization. Okay, so that's where it starts right then and there because now they're exposed to it. Now they're like, oh shit, this company has great core values. Maybe that's me. And then it moves into the interview process. Okay, I like questions that are core value based. Hire for competency, hire for cultural fit, train for the ability to do the job. Not in every case, by the way, okay? I get it, you're like, well, I need a seasoned tech. Great, find a seasoned tech, right? There's gonna be, depending on your market, depending where you're at, there's a lot of people out there looking for work. I would much rather prefer, if I was running a heating and cooling company, I'd develop a great training program. I'd try to bring people in green as much as I possibly could and train them up myself because now I can mold them to how I want to mold them. But there's going to be times where you're going to bring in senior individuals and you're going to want to have that skill base, but you also want to make sure they're a cultural fit. Some people will promote the best person into a management position too, by the way. It's not always the case, right? Your top performing salesperson goes into being a sales manager. Your top performing a technician goes into be the manager, right? Service manager. Not always the case, right? They're really good at what they do. They might not translate into management experience, right? You might have to hire that role in. You're going to want skills, but you're going to definitely want cultural fit, especially from those top performing individuals because they can erode your culture like that if you're not quick on them, okay? One of my, so I have a bunch of them. So one of them I say, what was the last problem you solved via YouTube and what was the problem, right? That's an example because now it actually goes back to being resourceful. My third question I ask in our interviews is what motivates you? I want to understand what makes them tick. I then do a follow-up question depending on what role we're hiring for around like 17, 18, 19, kind of before I go into what our organization, like the policies, procedures, all that stuff. I ask them, if money were unlimited, what would you want to do? I want to see if motivation and money is unlimited are connected. Because the people that say they're motivated by money, guess what? They just lied. 97% of humans out there just aren't motivated by money. They're motivated by purpose. And that's why we ask those questions. I ask them, by the way, for all of our core values. You have to first define your core values and then find questions that support your core values because you want to see, again, that cultural fit. How do you fire against them? Again, nobody likes firing people. But if you make it black and white, it becomes a lot easier. Okay? We have something called the People Analyzer in our business. Okay? We actually analyze and assess. Has anybody heard of EOS or Entrepreneur's Operating System? Anybody running on EOS or the Entrepreneur's Operating System? Okay. We are great system, by the way, to be able to put structure into your organization. So if you're lacking structure, look at EOS as an option. So this is our rating system of what we do. We actually rate our core values, we rate our unicorn value, and we do 3 ratings. Okay. We do a plus, means most of the time, because nobody does it 100% of the time, let's be real. Plus for most of the time, plus minus for some of the time, and a minus for rarely. We then have set metrics on how we're going to fire somebody based on their ratings. Okay? Because again, we do this, by the way, quarterly, because if those in the EOS world, you live in a 90-day window at a time. And so this is why we do it quarterly or every 90 days. We're doing this assessment. So this is actually my assessment from April 2024. You can see where I rated myself. I have pluses. I have a plus minus on committed excellence, a plus minus on unconventional thinking, and a plus minus on humble. My team argues that it probably should have been a minus on humble. They're probably right, actually, because I'm a little bit cocky in what I do. But then, so you have my ratings. But then I've asked our leadership team. Fur didn't rate them on the screenshot, but everybody rated them along with our director of operations, along with Evan. Every single person, the leadership team, rated me as the owner. Okay? We do this, by the way, for our team members as well. I just didn't want to share theirs. I shared mine. So now we see what our ratings are and what our team is rating me as an owner of, because I'm going to be rating our team. See, you can see where this goes, right? Now, 90 days later, July 2024, we have another rating system. Okay, you can see where it's changed, right? You can see mine here, plus minus, plus minus, plus minus. My committed to excellence is now a plus on myself. My unconventional thinking, my humble is still a plus minus, plus minus. Quite honestly, my humble is probably always going to be a plus minus. I don't think it's ever going to get to a plus part of things. I'm just being honest. But you can see where even Evan's rankings has changed from mine, right? He took me from a plus minus to a plus on being resourceful. The other ones still stay the same. So how do we do this in our organization? Well, we look at the pluses, the plus minuses, and the minuses. Generally, if somebody hits a minus, we're going to have a performance improvement plan with them. We're going to sit down and say, hey, by the way, you rated yourself, or your team rated yourself, or the average of it was this. Let's talk about it. Here's what we're seeing. What are you seeing? And we have a conversation on a performance improvement plan. Now we can help bring them up from an accountability perspective via performance improvement plan. We hold their hand and walk them through it to get to that point. If we don't actually do the performance improvement plan with them, we have failed them as an owner. If you just immediately fire somebody without actually giving them the tools to succeed, you have failed that person as an owner. Now, if you give them the tools to succeed, if you have this performance improvement plan, if you give them accountability, that also helps build your culture, because now it's a culture of winning. It's a culture of accountability. It's a culture of helping people succeed in your business. That's it. Sometimes people, that's all they want. They want to succeed. They weren't given the gift of the tools of running a business or being in a manager position. They don't know those things. You have to help them succeed. It helps build your culture, especially if you rate it off of your core values. It's up to you, by the way, to define your pulse on when you're looking at an individual based on their average rankings, on when you're going to fire somebody. Okay, that's up for you. So, does that make sense? Is there any questions, by the way, on this People Analyzer part based on your core values?
You say you got this from somewhere else, something EOS?
Yeah, Entrepreneur's Operating System, EOS. Gino Wickman has a book called Traction. That's a good self-start. We actually tried it. We tried self-implementing EOS 2 years ago as an organization. It lasted 4 months and it fizzled out. We've actually hired a certified implementer into our business who he specializes with digital agencies. And so I think actually you guys use him too, Lynn. And so he specializes in agencies. There's my contact information is on there. I'll find the information. So there's a company called Action Furnace in Calgary. They're about $50 million per year outfit. They also run on EOS. They have an implementer from Vancouver who worked with their business because he understood kind of the trades component of the thing. So I can send you the contact information if you're serious about it. I would recommend 2 books to start though. One is What the Heck is EOS? It's a pretty short, easy one. I think it's also by Gino, but it's What the Heck is EOS? It gives you an introduction into it. And then the second longer one is Traction, where he actually goes through the entirety of EOS and what it means for your business. In its simplest terms, EOS is an accountability system inside of your business to hold people accountable. The A players, by the way, want accountability. They want to be part of a culture that holds them accountable. The B players, they don't give a shit. They're going to go find another job somewhere else. They don't really care. The thing is B players hate working with A players, and A players hate working with B players. So if you have a mix in your organization of A players mixed with B players, eventually something's got to give. You're either going to lose your A players, and you're going to refill them with B players, or you got to fire your B players and hire A players. That's why we fired 4 people in September. They were B players. Our team is now certified A players. Well, except for one. He's on his way out, though. So, but I'm just, again, hopefully they don't see this. Maybe by the time the recording is done, he'll be gone. Yep. What the heck is EOS? And the other. Yep. Gino Wickman. Wickman. We have a 90-day probationary period inside of our business. And my belief, and this transcends organizations, is that somebody within the first 30 days really isn't able to do a whole heck of a lot because they're learning how your business operates. They're learning your systems, your processes, how you do things inside of your business. The days 31 to 60, now they're putting their stamp on your processes and learning how to put themselves into how you do things. Days 61 to 90, they should be up to speed and rocking and rolling. By the end of 90 days, you should have a crystal clear assessment on whether somebody's going to sink or swim inside your organization. The fastest I've seen, by the way, anybody move through those 3 cycles is about 5 weeks before they're up to fully operational and rocking and rolling, full speed, and maybe even 4 weeks by the time they're up to full speed. There's some people that get it. Some people take a little bit longer. But it's having that understanding, that assessment. If you know that in and around 60-day mark, that they're just not quite there, they're not quite having what you need to see in terms of inserting themselves into your process, you have a tough conversation with them. Yeah, probationary period is huge because so in our employment, I mean, we're a little different. We hire independent contractors, 1099s, but we have it written favorably for like an employment contract. We hire all over the world, so it's tough for me to bring in employees as a Canadian if I'm hiring the U.S. or wherever, right? So that's why we have them as 1099s. But that probationary period, depending on your state laws, allows you to basically terminate them at any point in that probationary period with no course, especially if it's in your employment contract. Obviously, after those 90 days, then you need to have just cause of all those things. I'll give you a tip on firing people. When you have this conversation with them and you know you're going to fire somebody, the easiest, best way to be able to do that isn't to say, hey, how's it going? Have a 5 to 10 minute conversation, because now they've got false expectations and you just rip that carpet right out from underneath them. You ask the question, hey, how's it going? But then you immediately transition. So, hey, just let you know, Steve, at the end of this conversation, you will no longer be working in this organization. So let's talk a little bit about how we got there. Now you're not giving them false expectation. And now you're also living your core values, our core values at least anyways, in terms of do what's right, not what's easy, not giving false expectations. So that might help out too in terms of a termination thing. When it comes to cause, my wife and I were having this conversation last week. So they built a performance improvement plan inside their organization. By the way, if anybody wants a copy of ours, just hit me up with the information at the end. I'll send you a copy of ours. It's literally, you identify what the issue is, and then you set timelines on when they're going to actually correct it by. If they don't correct it, now you've got your cause because you've actually tried to help them and hold their hand to be able to get there. Obviously, state laws, province laws, if you're in Canada, dictate kind of what you can and can't do there. So just my legal disclaimer on that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, and then again, if you're in the 90 days and you put that in there, it's easier. If it's past that, now you got to do the performance improvement plan. Right? So if you know that their GWC, this is what this is, by the way, the People Analyzer, get it, want it capacity. That's kind of what this stems from. That's the EOS thing. If they're really sucking on your core values, then yeah, absolutely. But oftentimes there's performance metrics and things that they're missing that you can use instead, as that's factual. This is feelings-based, by the way. Try to find factual things. Does that make sense? Answer your question?
Well, making sense is not what the word is, man. I mean, you have to understand this is a trade.
Yeah.
This is a bunch of people that have never had to deal with anything like this. I mean, there's no feelings questionnaires with an application process for an electrician.
Right.
You know, so what you're saying is outside the realm of norm for,
Yeah.
for a company like a service company.
Correct. And I believe that a service company should have it. Yep. Because how do you differentiate yourself? Air conditionings, panels, hot water tanks. Okay, it's all the same shit. How do you make yourself different? Culture and core values, right? That's the biggest thing. Be different. Did you ever wonder, like, how did those people that say, I don't have a recruiting problem, and other people have their hand up, it's like, I can't find any workers. You know what the difference is? Culture. It's core values. It's people that are in their organization that want to go to work.
But most people are not looking for companies that have culture and core values, man.
Yep. Yes and no. I think people want to feel part of something that's bigger than themselves. And if you can create something that has a bigger vision, and I'll talk about the vision here in a second, if you can create something that's bigger than them and transcends that, people will rise to the occasion. You'd be amazed at how you can take a B player and turn them into an A player by giving them the accountability. Yep.
And feed off that, the new generation, unfortunately, most of them are lazy, but besides that point, the ones that aren't lazy, they are looking for the culture. I know a lot of companies that switch to a month PTO or unlimited PTO.
Yep.
And they saw such a drive in their business, they're not gonna take advantage of it. But the older people that I have working for me, they were kind of gave pushback with the culture change, until they realized all the stuff that they saw brought them more value, brought them more money, everything along the way. They had more fun at home, then their families got involved in it and showed them like, oh, you're better off doing this because look at how happy you are at home now. So it changed. You'd be surprised by not pushing it, like dropping it on them, but over time, you'd be surprised how it changes.
Yeah, and it's small increments. Like we've been doing this for over the period of the last year, putting in a lot of this stuff and changing. Like we changed our core values in January, just this year, or maybe December. But like we've completely changed our core values as a result of going through the exercise with EOS, and people love the change. But you are right. Like different generations will have different wants, desires, and needs. If you're trying to bring in new people into the trades, because let's be honest, everybody wants to go get a university education. I mean, okay, I have a university education, but if I were to listen to my dad, I would have actually went into the trades, like legitimately, because I see the value in that, right? And I think it's getting that new generation in there to be able to show them that, hey, there's more to than just turning wrenches, right? We've built somewhere where you can feel valued and you feel like you've got a purpose in life, not just turning a wrench. And that's where that bridge is missing, is that piece, to be able to say, okay, well, we've built a business that gives you purpose, not just coming in to turn a wrench and earning a paycheck. And by the way, if you want to be the latter, that's okay. Completely fine. Had a conversation with somebody yesterday. I've said this all the time. If you want to be $1 million business and you are happy and content being $1 million business, then great, be $1 million business. If you want to grow to a $5 million per year business, grow to what you want as that business. I'll talk about the vision. Yep.
When we finally started adopting culture and focusing on it, putting our values out, it was a big change for us. It was hard and it wasn't easy. It takes constant reinforcement. We would do things like we printed business cards up with one value on each card, and we would pass those out every month. And that month we would focus on that core value.
Yep.
And it starts at the top, and if you let up at the top, it all cascades.
Correct.
Falls apart.
Yep. You've got to constantly reinforce that. I love the value cards exercise. We can't do that. We're digital. We're remote. But if you have a value cards, you can print those off, focus on a core value. You give everybody, let's say, 5 of them, or whatever the number is that you want to do. You give everybody 5. Hey, if you see another person on the team exhibiting this core value, guess what? You get to give them that core value. It's got your name on the back. You give them that. The person at the end of the month with the most cards given to them, win a prize. It's a good way to do it.
There's a thing called kudos.
Yep.
And we use that. I was completely against it because I'm an engineer and I don't have feelings.
You're a little furry creature hidden in the back room somewhere in a department.
But the team loved it. I was wrong.
Yep. Yeah. And just because you don't like something doesn't mean somebody else won't either. You got to play to the different types of people that are out there. All right. The other part is, do you actually live them? And do you take them home with you? And I already mentioned, have your team write you. The thing with our core values, if you look through them, if you can transcend these out of your business so people can take them home with them and they feel valued and it's good, they can use it in their personal life, how powerful is that as a business to say, my core values are making a difference in that person's life? It goes back to that last one that I shared. Working here has allowed me to become the man that I've always dreamed of being. Can't do that if you don't have core values that transcend that and you can take them home. Okay. All right, talk a little bit about the vision. What time are we done at? Have you defined where you're going as a business? Is your purpose mapped out? Have you shared, sorry, show of hands. Have you defined where you're going as a business? Do you guys have a vision of 5 years from now? Anybody? Show of hands. You see who hasn't. Okay. Couple. Okay. Is your purpose mapped out? Do you guys have your purpose, your mission, your cause? And then last, have you shared those with your team? Same thing with the core values, right? And as we know, you got to repeat those often, ad nauseum, all the time. So here's our vivid vision. So it's December 31st, 2028. We're in the best year in our company's history. We're riding a major high. We have 150 clients. We have 37 virtual team members. We have a 95% employee retention rate, and we have 98.76% client satisfaction. I didn't have to read that from a slide because it's mapped out. We share this, by the way, in our interview. Very first interview, I go through the vivid vision. We talk about the vivid vision on our onboarding. We share this routinely, right? This is ours. You have to map out yours. What does your business look like in 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years? Have you mapped that out? And if you haven't, good exercise, take home. Map out my 1, 3, and 5 year vision on where I want this company to go. I didn't share that. You notice how I didn't talk anything about profit, revenues, nothing. Employee retention rate, client satisfaction. Because I know that when our team is taken care of and we have a 95% employee retention rate, guess what they do for our clients? They take care of them. Goes back to that people, product, price. If your people like where they're at, you can charge more, by the way, in your business. Okay? That's what the new flat rate's all about. You can now do that because your culture's there. Our passion and our cause, fuck conventional. We focus on people first digital marketing. Our niche is home service marketing. That's our passion. That's our cause. That's our mission. I challenge you to think of one that's creative for your industry, right? Not just we make people cold. We keep people warm. We put lights on. And you can put that in there. Think of fun ways. I mean, use ChatGPT, spin it up. Right? But when you have this vision, you have this cause, it all circles back to your core values because now people are bought into this purpose. People want to feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. This allows them to do that, but you have to share that with them. You have to map it out, right? So have you, with your vision, have you shared that, right? We share it frequently inside of our organization. I already mentioned a couple points to do that, okay? How often do you repeat it is the other part. Okay, this is the key thing. I don't know if anybody's heard the stat, culture erodes 1% per day in a business if you don't talk about it. Within 100 days, you could have a completely different culture if you don't talk about it. You are what you promote, right? It's like an elastic band, it expands, right? If you think and you talk about your culture, guess what's going to happen inside your business? Culture, core values, vision, mission, okay? We do it on one-on-ones. We do it on weekly team meetings near the end. Talk about it, sprinkle it in. You don't always have to reference where you're going in 2028. You talk about the bigger picture. I've ran through an exercise with our team where if I say we have 150 clients, and let's just say the average is 10 houses or 10 employees at the business plus our 37, times the average people in a household of 2.2, I know it's a weird number, comes out to around 4,000 individual people. You're going to check my math. So do 150 plus 37 times, well, I guess it'd be 150 times 10 plus 37 times 2.2. About 4,000 people that are directly and indirectly impacted by our organization. You know what one of our team members said to me the other day? He's like, man, I'm so excited by when we're going to be at December 31st, 2028, because guess what? We're going to impact 4,000 lives. Unprovoked. He just mentioned it in conversation. That's how important this is to be able to repeat it because they buy into where you're going as a business. We also do a quarterly state of the company address too, part of the EOS thing. We just talk about when we have our EOS day and our next 90-day planning cycle. We then talk about where the company's going over the next 90 days. Now it's broken down. People have a tough time focusing for longer than 90 days. So when you can break this down, hey, here's our next 90-day plan. You can do it in seasonalities too if your business is seasonal. So you know that you're coming up in heating and cooling and you're in the Sun Belt in the States. Well, okay, well, let's have, and maybe not a 90-day, maybe 120-day, because you've got 4 months of really, really hot weather where you can actually focus them in around a vision and a mission for that summer. Talk about it. Talk about that quarterly state. Have one as you wrap up the summer. Tie it back to your vision and your mission. Tie it back to your core values. Tie it about to where you're going over the next 90 days. There's ways to be able to do it inside the service businesses. So, office perks, what do you offer? This is just some of, these are your perks. Like, these are the extra things. We do unlimited paid time off in our organization. By the way, there's a caveat. Again, a little bit different for our business because of how we can operate, how we can work. Maybe a little bit difficult. Obviously, check your state laws, but we unlimited paid time off. I've been part of an organization prior to this that also had unlimited paid time off. The caveat is that you had to find somebody else to be able to help make sure that your tasks were staying on track, right? If they're a task-driven office person, et cetera. Field, you can rearrange schedules and as you need. What studies have found, by the way, with unlimited paid time off versus set vacation, so let me actually say this. Did you know that about half of the population in North America doesn't take their full 2 weeks of vacation in a year? You know what changed when people went to unlimited paid time off? Nothing. Literally the exact same amount of vacation time via unlimited paid time off versus having a set time period and then you earn more as the longer you stay with the company. That's old school thinking, guys. Most people don't take all of their paid time off. And if they do, guess what? You've created a great office perk and a great office culture because people value what they need to do. Now you can put caveats out on busy season, sure, if you need. Okay, I get it. So flexible schedule, we have a fun environment, and we also, I mean, if you have the physical office, what do you do in there? Do you do yoga, and can you bring your dogs in, right? Like, those are perks, guys, and those are part of a culture, don't get me wrong, but the vivid vision and the core values are the biggest part of it. Hey, the last part is you need to repeat, you need to repeat, you need to repeat, and you repeat, and you keep repeating, and when you think you've repeated it enough, keep fucking repeating. Ad nauseum, ad nauseum. The more you repeat it, the more they're going to retain it. All right. If you have any questions, by the way, I can put up the slide sheet if you want to grab a copy of the slides as well. If you have questions, guys, feel free to reach out. You've got my email on there. You can check out our website. Hit me up on Facebook. It's probably the most reliable place I'd be able to get that. Obviously, this is a book a call time. I haven't talked anything about marketing, but we do marketing for home services. I'm not here to pitch you guys on working with us. I want to lead value with culture and how we do it inside of our organization. If you do have questions on your culture, if you do want to have a time, just reach out to me via email, reach out to me via Facebook Messenger. I'm here to help. You want a copy of our performance improvement plan? I'll send it to you. You want me to send you a copy of our whole vivid vision and core values document for reference? I'll send it to you. I don't care. I will send you anything. As long as it can help you guys create the culture inside your business that I know that you guys can. Questions? Yep. Did anybody send this message to their team? You did?
Yeah.
Get any responses?
Yeah, well, one of them was a really dark one, but I'm going to talk to him later.
Okay. They said they don't like working here?
I'll give you some dark stuff. He says, I like money and it makes me not want to kill myself.
Oh, yeah, okay. I think he might have
He's
some.
the youngest one. We were talking about the culture. I think he's not going to be included in that part. But one of them says the opportunity for growth. Another one says, I can say the first one. He said because I'm not going to. The first one I'm not going to read that one. But he said because you have a lot of potential to compete with big companies, and I want to be a part of that. Another one said
Support the little guy.
Huh?
Support the little guy. You can create a great culture as a little guy, and you'll go up against the big companies all day long.
I'm able to thoroughly learn a trade in all the different areas that applies in an enjoyable work setting. So.
Yep. See, they're loving it. Yep.
I have a funny story. I didn't ask them that, but right before I left, one of our warehouse guys came up, and he was like, hey, man, one, I want to thank you. He's been with us for like 2 years now. He goes, I had a terrible dream the other night. I was like, oh, what happened? He's like, I woke up, I was sweating and nervous. He's like, in the morning, my wife's like, are you okay? This is a true story, by the way. He's like, yeah, I had a terrible nightmare. She's like, did I cheat on you? He's like, no, worse. And she's like, what? Brian fired me. And I was like, wow, I took that, I was like, that's crazy. And I was like, to hear someone say that,
Yep.
that's a true story. That happened like last
Wow.
week. So I was like,
Yep.
it's crazy to hear that, but it goes off of the culture. Once
Yep.
I changed our culture, people are flying in. I
Yep.
have every day probably about 15 to 20 resumes come
Yep.
across my desk. So people talk and everything. It took time, but
Yep.
I took what you said. I put the people first,
Yep.
and I watched everything else follow.
Yep, and that's all you have to do is put your people first. The rest magically happens. So, all right, back to this. There you go. And then before we go, I'm going to take a selfie once everybody's done that because, well, I can and I will because I'm up here. So we'll do it with everybody in the background. So, all right, everybody's got that? And again, feel free to reach out if you have questions on your culture, guys. Here to help. All right, everybody, smile, do something, put your hands up. Woo! All right, there we go. Enjoy your lunch.